Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Gaming Mix podcast, your official podcast from analogstickgaming.com. If you don't know me by now, my name is Jordan, one of the co-owners of Analog Stick Gaming, and to my right, as always, is the why have we got? Hold on, there we go. Sorry, I had some music playing in my ears because I have a new PC, and
Well, it's a
it's
good thing I
just
don't have my
does
game
weird
playing, and then
things.
my ears will be like, "Oh God."
Yeah, but to my right, as always, we have the founder himself, Jeff. How are you doing, Jeff?
Not too bad. Got up, took my dog for a walk, played some more of Echoes of the End, and started
Yes.
putting the news together.
Nice, nice. We have a few bits of news this week, obviously, but we do also have a lot of games we've been playing, which is our episode's going to be kind of a little bit
And even
flipped.
more that I can't talk about too. I have been very,
Yeah.
very busy on the game front.
Yes, me as well. Actually, I think I've had like 4 games come in this week, so
Oh, I
it has
know,
been a
because like
busy
I,
one.
I I even borrowed Mafia: The Old Country from a friend. I'm like, yeah, I'll be able to play it this up weekend or whatever. And then like the moment it was in my hand, it's kind of like my inbox went code, 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 and I'm like, all right,
That is
Mafia's put you on the back
hilarious.
burner.
That is hilarious. But we it's interesting because at least we haven't had too much to watch over the last couple of weeks. Obviously, we did watch SummerSlam. That was very good. I was very happy with that. Is how I would sum that up. I think we
Yeah,
did well.
Brock Lesnar coming back. Who would have thought?
Yeah, that was
Um,
interesting.
but just jumping into wrestling, I mean, they'll never see this, but I am about a year and some ago. All right, back when what was it? The Authors of Pain, is that what it was? The team
Yes.
with
Yeah.
Karrion Cross and Scarlett, and then the two guys, and then the old guy that would just jump on the ropes and distract people. I
Yes.
hated all of them. I didn't care for Karrion Cross. I mean, Scarlett's attractive. You're going to be drawn to Scarlett no matter what. But I just didn't like any of them. Fast forward to now, and Karrion's literally one of my favorite wrestlers, and I'm going to be going to a bookstore later today and buying his book, Life is Fighting. If you haven't had the chance, check out the Killer Cross Part 2 documentary that's on his
Yeah.
YouTube channel. He is not been re-signed with WWE. They gave him an ultimatum of a 24-hour signing, and he chose to not engage with that because he wanted information about why the amount that they settled on.
Why they came to that number, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And WWE chose not to disclose that or whatever the case was. Now, he was talking to a rep, he wasn't talking to Hunter, which was the previous time that he got signed. Um,
Yeah.
he he sat down with Hunter and they signed him and Scarlett right then and there together. Um,
Yeah.
Told recently that Scarlett was not offered until his contract was signed, which begs the question of whether Scarlett was just going to get a reduction and forced into that because he signed. Um,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
unclear, but if you get a chance to watch his latest interview, and I'm going to bring up who it is with.
I believe it
It,
was Ariel Hawani.
yes, I believe that's what it is. Now, that's the first time I've ever watched that guy's content, and I have to say
Mhm.
he is a fantastic interviewer. My
Very
God.
good. Yeah. Yeah. Very good.
That interview is fantastic. I'm really looking for that Chris Van Fleet or whatever his name is.
Yeah, Chris Lambley. I love that
Yeah.
guy.
Um, yeah, like it's so weird because a year ago I couldn't give two shits about Karrion Cross, and now
hmm
I'm like, WWE, you just fucked up.
Yeah. But you know, that's the funniest thing, right? Is this is one of the things you'll, not you, but anyone who's coming into wrestling for the first time,
Yeah.
something you'll learn is there might be a character that you don't like right now.
I was
But
even unsure about LA Knight, and now I'm
yeah.
fucking doing the goddamn bullshit where he's doing it.
but with a good story, with good writing, with and allowing these performers to do what they can do.
And even just
It's
listening to them talk as people. Like
yes.
he is one of the most, I think, positive wrestlers I think I've ever seen, because
Yeah.
there be wrestlers out there that would be just pissed at what's going on right now. And he's just
Yeah.
like, no, hey, I'm still at the table. I want to discuss
Yeah.
about this, blah, blah, blah.
And he tries to see the positive side of it, right?
Yeah.
And he's also made it very clear, like, he did want to stay in WWE.
Yeah.
So if there is an opportunity in the future at some point, he probably would go back
Yeah.
there again.
Like, he's the one guy that would probably make me start watching AEW if he went.
Yeah. That's
But
fair.
yeah, like, and like I watched some of the horror stuff that Shotzi and Scarlett have done. That's
Yes.
always fun. I'm gonna start watching more of it. But no, I'm gonna go and buy his book, and
Nice.
then when
Nice.
the audiobook comes out, I'll buy that too.
Nice.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, I haven't watched the documentary yet. I do want to watch that. I'm kind of in the same boat as you, where I always knew what Karrion Cross had in him,
yeah,
but I think that when he was in that group and they were just doing weird stuff with them, it didn't work. And as soon as he got put on his own and was doing his own thing,
yeah,
he became one of the most interesting characters
yeah. And he was on, like,
on the whole thing.
I don't understand why they didn't encourage him to sign and go through some type of deal that would have brought them both back, because he was on back-to-back PLEs. I believe this was his first SummerSlam.
I think so. Yeah, I
And
think
he
so.
was also a main fixture on Main Event. Like, he
Yeah.
was on every episode of Main Event pretty much. So, like, you
Yeah.
have him in back-to-back PLEs,
Yeah.
like Night of
And
Champions
also
and
the other
SummerSlam.
thing is, like, you have the crowd getting behind him. This guy
Yes,
this
they were
guy
saying
was
we want
money.
Cross, and then then Triple H was like, "You want Brock? You got him." Like, no, they were saying Cross.
Yeah, yeah.
You deaf bastard.
It's so weird. It's so strange. I'm hoping that this might be one of those situations where after sort of a month or so, maybe we see him come back. Maybe
I
there are
honestly,
discussions to be
I
had.
I wouldn't be a bit surprised, and yet I would be surprised. It's
Mm.
it's kind of both, that he shows up on Raw, like they're talking to somebody, and then all of a sudden
And he
Carrie
just
and
shows up.
Scarlett
Yeah.
show up, and it's one of those things where they worked it out today, and then he's on
Yeah.
Raw
Well,
on Monday.
because I just think that with the reaction they've had to all of this, with the fact that he was becoming so popular with the audience, it
Yeah.
almost feels similar to the R-Truth situation in some ways.
Yeah, and
Like,
see, like, they were using Carrion far more than R-Truth, but R-Truth just had some, like, fan backlash where they were taking over, and I'm surprised they haven't done that for Cross, because,
yeah,
like, the chants weren't really going on Monday, and, like, I don't know,
yeah.
it's weird.
I mean, maybe that as more things have come out, potentially we'll see a bit more of
Yeah,
the
like, I wouldn't be
audience
a bit
getting
surprised
behind
if,
him.
like, today Hunter reached out personally and said, "Hey, how can we do
Yeah,
this?"
let's figure this situation out, kind of thing.
Yeah,
Because also it's weird for them to be like, yeah, you've got 24 hours to
yeah,
sign this deal or we're not going to give it to you anymore. Like, give the guy time. Like,
yeah, and
if
like, he just wanted data. He's like, okay, because apparently it was the same amount of money.
yeah, yeah.
And he want to go, okay, how did you come to this valuation?
Yeah,
That's
he
all he
wants
wants
to
to know.
understand why they had made that specific offer, right?
Yeah,
So it's a little bit strange, but it is what it is. I wish him all the best, obviously, wherever he goes. I think he certainly won't have a shortage of offers.
no,
I
like,
think it,
even AEW wasn't sure about reaching out because they thought it was a work.
yeah, yeah, precisely. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Part of me wouldn't be surprised to actually see him turn up in TNA, and then he'll end up working with WWE again anyway.
Yeah,
Like, it's there are weird things that can happen in this wrestling world now. Um, but it's definitely something worth keeping an eye on. And as Jeff said, there is a documentary from Karrion Cross, luckily on his YouTube channel.
yeah,
So you don't need a VPN for that, Jeff. but you
Oh,
may need it for other things. Like, for example, with our partnership with NordVPN, as we discussed before the show, we are potentially one step closer to having this podcast available on people's Samsung fridges and other weird devices that
so
exist
exciting.
out there.
Gotta be an Apple
So,
Watch in no time.
what exactly is a VPN? I hear some people asking, and what I would say is it's a private network that basically protects you when you go online, hides your IP address from potentially malicious attacks and hackers who can get your information. But one of the big perks of a VPN, of course, I don't know if you were aware of this, Jeff, but you can use a VPN to access content that is not available in your region.
Yeah.
So, that might
Yeah,
be
so if you
worth
want
doing.
UK Netflix and not North American Netflix, or if like Amazon
Yeah.
Prime has something that you don't have in your country, you can basically change that. So like I think Superman is hitting digital today, so maybe it's not digital everywhere. Um,
Yes.
yeah,
So there are ways for you to access things, but like I said, in this weird age of the internet, one of the most important things about a VPN, of course, is keeping you safe, right? There's been a lot about kind of child safety online recently, but what about just general safety? Like, we don't want to see people getting hacked. I don't want to be hacked. Jeff doesn't want to be hacked. And a VPN does help you to stay safe. Of course, one of the negative parts of some VPNs and the reason that some people don't use them is they can significantly slow down your internet connection. However, with NordVPN, we actually see that they are one of the fastest, if not the fastest, I believe, right now, in terms of their speeds available while using their VPN. So therefore, you don't really lose much by going for NordVPN. I've been using it a bit recently. I believe Jeff now does have access to it as well, as I sent him a code not too long ago. But Jeff, why don't you tell people about what they can get if they use our affiliate link down below in the description?
yeah. So right now our deal is less than $4 a month. It's $3.89 Canadian. I don't know what it works out to US, but probably just over $2. 74% off 2-year terms. Plus you get 3 extra months. So there's some really, really good programs. Previously they've had Amazon gift cards, so it all just depends on kind of when you're going for. But the nice thing about it is you can protect up to 10 devices with one deal. There's also a 30-day money back guarantee as well. But normally this deal was $14.29 a month. It's on for $3.89 Canadian a month. So it's absolutely just so cheap to get into that.
Yeah.
There's also like a lot of other VPN networks and stuff like that, like ExpressVPN, Private VPN, Proton VPN. But the connection speed for NordVPN is almost 3 to 4 times the speeds that you're going to get there. The covered locations is 164 countries as opposed to 105, 84, 117, 80 plus.
So you're
It
getting
also
a lot
has,
more coverage as well with
yes,
your VPN if you go
yeah,
with
and
NordVPN.
Pure VPN is the only other one that has malware scan for downloads, where ExpressVPN doesn't, Private VPN doesn't, Proton VPN
Yeah.
doesn't. Um, but NordVPN does. You've also got alerts
Yes.
about leaked credentials as well too, which is only something that ExpressVPN kind of offers as well. And then the track
Yes.
and ad blocker they've got as well too. So there's a lot of really, really fantastic things that you can get through
And actually,
NordVPN,
for
and it
the
doesn't.
cost right
It's
now, if you
stupid
use
cheap.
our link,
Yeah,
that's a ridiculous cost. You may as like look. What I would say is, if you've never used a VPN, it might be worth just signing up, having a few months on it, seeing if it's something that you use and helps you. Because, like I said, $4 a month Canadian is nothing, essentially. That's nothing for the peace of mind, right? Because if you get hacked while you're online, you could end up losing hundreds or thousands of dollars. If someone hacks into your banking system or anything like that, this is going to help you avoid that stuff. And it's going to alert you when passwords are leaked online and all that kind of thing. And speaking of passwords, we do also have a link on our website for NordPass, which is their version of a password manager, which, essentially allows you to keep track of all these passwords that you have. You can even use it to generate passwords so that they're more secure. And then you don't even know the password yourself as such, because you're not going to remember these jumbled up characters.
Oh,
but
exactly.
because it remembers it for you, you're keeping yourself more secure. You're going to be able to log in more quickly to all the websites that you need. I use the password manager right now, and I've got it for our website. I've got it for loads of different things, and it's just so easy to basically put in your existing passwords if you don't want to change them for sites that you already log into conveniently all the time. It's gonna just add to that stuff, right? And then when you have to ever set up a new account on a new website, maybe you haven't joined Blue Sky yet, for example, and you can follow us over on Blue Sky. And maybe when you go over there and you set up a Blue Sky account, you want to set up a brand new password, you can use NordPass to do it for you. And it's going to be so much easier to access our NordPass deal. You can go to the website on any of our news articles, and in the side banner there will be a NordPass logo. If you just click that,
Yep.
it will
Or
take
if you're
you
on
straight
mobile,
to
it's right below the news article.
Yes, and it will take you straight to our NordPass deal currently as well. I don't actually have the terms of that in front of me, so I apologize for that.
And we'll likely have the links for both of these directly below on the.
We will, yes. Yeah, there should be a link that says nordvpn.com/analogstickgaming or something like that in the description. If you click that, it'll take you straight to the page, and you can do your sign up from there. And the best part is, if you use our link, we will get some of the money from your membership. So you will directly be supporting us
You'll be our
financially,
third
right?
owner.
Yeah, you can basically be the third
Owning
owner
part
of
of Analog
Analog
Stick
Stick Gaming. Because let's be quite real for a second, Jeff. It's just me and you that does this, right? It's just me and you. We have a couple of friends help us write things sometimes. People may have seen that your good friend over there, Rebecca, did a review recently. And we've also got another one of your friends with a review coming up soon.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, in terms of costs and things, it's just me and Jeff. We've actually got our website costs coming up very soon. And let me tell you, these things are not cheap. So allowing us to make some income without having to add tons of adverts on the site and things like that. Yes, I know that we have a Nord banner now that you can also click to get to our NordVPN things, but I'll take having a banner on the site than pushing adverts down your throat consistently, because let's be quite frank, websites make their money through ads, right? Most of the time.
Yeah, like we'll likely never have like the pop-up ads that just automatically start playing that you see pretty much everywhere. That's just intrusive.
Yeah. And what I would say is anything that we ever have on the site is something that we have used and endorsed ourselves. I think we want to kind of maintain that of being.
Yeah, so if we get a Ferrari sponsorship, I'm going to drive the Ferrari. Like, I will guarantee you that right now.
There you go. So yes, please just keep in mind that if you do need a VPN, maybe you've got an existing VPN, right? But right now, you can change to NordVPN for a really good deal, probably less than you're already paying with our specific
Like
deal here.
I tried to go see how much ExpressVPN was, and I clicked a link to go onto the website, and McAfee Advisor said that this was a suspicious website. So don't go with ExpressVPN.
Wow, okay. So yeah, so if you do choose to sign up to NordVPN, please consider using our link below because it will help us out financially as well. And just to be 100% transparent, any money that we make from the NordVPN affiliate program will go back into funding the site and supporting our endeavors with site related things, such as we've got Gamescom coming up very soon, Jeff, and hopefully next year I might be able to attend that because it is a bit closer to me than it is to you. There's going to be lots of news at Gamescom, of course, which we'll keep you updated with and we'll have on the website and all that kind of stuff. But let's get into the news for this week, shall we, Jeff? What have we got to talk about this week? Because I know there's a few things. There's one that isn't as positive, but there's a couple of other things as well. So what have we got this week?
So apparently the upcoming Call of Duty Black Ops 7 will not be available on Switch 2 at launch, an insider says. Deal Labs writer Bill Kuhn, who has a lengthy track record of accurately reporting release information, says that despite Microsoft's pledge to bring their Call of Duty series to Nintendo, they can confirm that there will be no Switch 2 version of the game when it's released on other platforms. This doesn't necessarily mean the game will never receive a Switch 2 port in the future, simply that it won't be on day one. They believe that the game will release on other formats on November 14th, stating that this date has already been reported by a previous leaker and other information corroborates this. Should Black Ops 7 not be released on Switch 2 on day one, it's likely due to Activision not being able to prepare a port quickly enough rather than a business decision not to bring the game to Nintendo's handheld. So yeah, like this is part of their 10-year deal that was part of the whole acquisition of Activision. And
Yes.
so like, I can. Here's the thing: not a lot of people have Switch 2 dev kits, so this might be an issue where Activision maybe doesn't have one yet, or just got one.
And realistically, the Switch 2 hasn't been out that long, right? So it could be a situation where maybe they got the Switch 2 dev kit even 6 months ago, but porting a game such as Call of Duty, which, let's be real, okay, some people will say Call of Duty is Call of Duty, but they're very graphically intense games with lots of effects and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's probably a lot of work that has to go into making that game run on a device like the Switch 2. So I'm not surprised personally that this isn't going to be a day one release on the Switch 2. And I also think that people have to remember before they criticize like Microsoft or Xbox about this situation is Call of Duty was never releasing on the Switch anyway, right? Before.
Yeah, the first Switch.
So,
God,
no. so realistically, even if Switch 2 ends up getting Black Ops 7, for example, 6 months later, it's still getting the game. You know, it's still opening up that game to an audience that wouldn't have previously had access to it. And hopefully, as things move forward and the Switch 2 becomes more commonplace, we will eventually see Call of Duty be day one on the Switch 2 as well. I mean, that's what I would imagine. I think you're absolutely correct in what you say, Jeff. There's very much a chance that maybe Activision only got the dev kit not too long ago, and ports do take time, as we've seen before for many games.
I have to optimize for a whole new platform.
Yes.
I think it's definitely going to happen. But like realistically, I would be thinking spring for a Switch 2 version.
That's fair. I think that's a good prediction. It's interesting because people are saying that there's not much hype about Black Ops 7 at the moment and that kind of thing. And kind of, oh, Battlefield 6 seems to have stole its thunder, but it's like I keep reminding people we literally haven't really seen anything of Black Ops 7 yet, which is why there is no hype. We literally got a reveal trailer, which was pre-rendered CGI stuff to tease what I assume is the campaign of the game.
I would be a bit surprised if that was in game.
Really?
Like in
Wow,
engine,
okay.
I wouldn't be surprised if that was an engine. In engine,
Yeah, I mean, maybe not. And
concept.
we did hear recently, and I can't remember exactly where this came from, so I do apologize. But sometime around Gamescom, Black Ops 7 is going to be shown in some degree. There's going to be something from Black Ops 7 shown in the Gamescom time period, but we don't know exactly when, if I remember correctly. So we'll see about that. But what other news do we have this week, Jeff?
Well, we got here former Blizzard president and Xbox executive Mike Ybarra says he expects Battlefield 6 to boot stomp Call of Duty Black Ops 7 this year. Ybarra, who served at various roles in Microsoft for 20 years, before becoming Blizzard president for 3 years, took to Twitter to give his views on the upcoming return of Call of Duty versus Battlefield's online FPS clash. According to Ybarra, Battlefield 6 will come out on top, but he believes that this can only be a good thing for Call of Duty because it will force it to improve. He says Battlefield will boot stomp Call of Duty this year, but the real win here is Call of Duty won't be lazy anymore, and we'll all get better FPS games for it. When one follower suggested that 2016's Call of Duty Infinite Warfare was disappointing but still outsold Battlefield 1, Ybarra replied that Activision's series has been getting worse since then and claimed that the revitalized Battlefield will encourage improvements. Now, the one thing that I will say about is that, yes, I think Battlefield 1 could potentially, boot stomp Call of Duty, but this is the first Battlefield that's made by somebody that previously made Call of Duty.
Yes, that's very true.
So like it has like, we'll talk about it later on, but I mean, I've played the beta and the shooting in that feels incredibly satisfying.
Yeah. And yeah, we will talk more about Battlefield 6 later on. What I would say specifically on Mike Ybarra's comments here, I sort of agree, but I do think maybe I think he's being a bit hyperbolic in what he's saying.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is I still don't expect Battlefield 6 to be the bigger game than Black Ops 7, right? Because
I don't
at
think
the end of the day,
sales wise, I don't think you're going to stop a juggernaut that is Call of Duty.
Especially when it has Game Pass behind it now, right? That's the other thing to consider is like Call of Duty now has Game Pass behind it. So even if this year's Call of Duty is an average Call of Duty, millions and millions and millions of people will still play it, even if they don't buy it, because it's on Game Pass.
Have the EA Play thing?
So they do. EA Play is weird though. So because I've had a few people ask me about this recently, and I don't understand why this is the way it is, but EA Play has two versions. You have the standard EA Play, which allows you to get 10-hour trials of their games before they come out, and then they add the games to a vault of games around sort of 6 months after they release, usually 6 to 8 months after they release. However, on PC, they offer a membership that costs a little bit more money called EA Play Pro, where you get all EA games day one. And I don't understand why they don't offer the same thing to the console audience, because people would pay for it. And, people who play a lot of EA video games would pay for it. Like, for example, I haven't had time to play it yet, but I was just given a code for review for Madden 26, right? And coming up in the upcoming months, for example, we have Battlefield 6, we have EA FC 26, which are both games that I'm going to play if I had to buy these games and I was only a console player and EA came in and said, "Do you know what? You can actually pay a bit more and get EA Play Pro and play all these games day one." Like, why would I not do that?
Yeah, especially since they have kind of a fairly okay cadence for like releasing games per month to kind of validate that prescription or subscription.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So,
Imagine if
but
you
the
could be
other,
prescribed games. That'd be amazing. Doctor's like, yeah, you're gonna have to take, play Battlefield
yeah,
6 for the next month.
yeah, you're gonna have to, yeah, you're gonna get a prescription, stay off work to play Battlefield 6.
Exactly. Sorry, job, but I've got to stay home and play Battlefield. I gotta get better.
Oh God! But I do want to continue on what Mike Ybarra said for a second because there is something that I don't agree with on what Mike Ybarra said, and they talk about the person said that was it 2015's Call of Duty Advanced Warfare um, was widely regarded as not very good, and it still outsold the Battlefield of the time.
Yeah.
And Mike Ybarra goes on to say, but Call of Duty has become progressively worse since that point.
Yeah.
I actually don't agree with him on that. I think that was the lowest point of Call of Duty. And yeah, there's been a couple of missteps over the years, but 2019's reboot of Modern Warfare was fantastic.
Yeah.
People really liked Black Ops Cold War a couple of years ago as well.
I still haven't beat that.
And
I haven't played the new campaign for more than a couple hours.
That's fair. And I wasn't the biggest fan of Modern Warfare 3, but we know that was supposed to be a DLC that then got forced into being a full game, essentially. So I don't blame the team behind that for the quality of that game. It's in my opinion, that's not their fault. That's the fault of the shareholders at the time. And then we've obviously had Black Ops 6 come out, and I actually really enjoyed that. For me, it had the strongest campaign of any Call of Duty for over a decade.
Yeah, I've only played a little bit of that campaign.
It's good. The campaign is good. And the multiplayer was okay. Like yes, you could argue that if he had said Call of Duty had become a bit stagnant, then I wouldn't have an issue. But him trying to say that the games have become worse in that decade since that game, I do not agree with that. And I think the majority of the Call of Duty audience wouldn't agree with that either. So that's the one part of what he's saying where I think he is incorrect personally. And I do think that what we have to remember as well is Call of Duty, although it's one big franchise, it has these smaller franchises within it, right? So, like, you've got the Modern Warfare arm of Call of Duty that's really popular, and you've got the Black Ops arm of Call of Duty, and then you've got these other things that have tried to be things in between, right? Yeah, but realistically, Black Ops and Modern Warfare are the most popular. So what I'm trying to say is an average Black Ops 7 or even a bad Black Ops 7 is still going to sell millions and millions and millions of copies. And I think the one uphill battle that something like Battlefield 6 has is that, let's be honest, the recent history of the Battlefield franchise is not good. So therefore,
that's why they've been doing the betas, and the betas have been getting like a lot of really positive response. And the fact that the open betas, I think this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I just, it's going to be interesting to see. I don't think he's completely wrong, and I understand what he's trying to say, but I do think he was a little bit hyperbolic here. In kind of trying to put his point across. But I also think that people who know Mike Ybarra and who've followed him on social media for quite some time, he is very knowledgeable, but he also how can I explain this in a nice way?
Hmm.
He's very knowledgeable, but he also is one of these executives that I think is a little bit stuck in the past and a little bit, oh, this was the way that we did things back then, so we should do it that way now as well,
Hmm.
sort of thing. And I think that some of these older executives who maybe aren't in executive roles anymore struggle to understand that the industry is changing. It's like they
Yeah.
struggle to understand that the industry in 2025 isn't the same as it was in 2015, let alone how it was in 2005. Like, like it's so different, and therefore, yes, their perspective is valuable because let's be quite frank, because they get a lot of stick, a lot of these executives who say things, but they do know more than us. They have the data and experience to put across more informed opinions and thoughts about how things may or may not go, right? But they also are a little bit oblivious at times, which is not unheard of for executives, about what the general gamer wants or is thinking and feeling, right?
Yeah.
So there is that. But we'll see how it pans out. We'll talk more about this later when we talk about Battlefield 6, I'm sure, because both myself and Jeff have been playing a bit of it. So we'll talk about that later on. But for now, we've got some more news to get through. So what else do we have here, Jeff?
Yeah. So this happened a couple days ago, but I wanted to talk about it as well. Microsoft has stopped development on Contraband. Stephen Totillo's Game Files newsletter initially reported that the game, which has been in development at Avalanche Studios, has ceased active development. This has now been confirmed by Avalanche themselves, which posted in a statement that active development has now stopped. Yeah, so like, there's a lot more to the story just in regards to the team, but we didn't even get to see what this game was. Like
Yeah,
we got a logo, we got a panning over of a table with a Steely Dan song playing,
yeah.
and that's all we
Yeah,
got.
I think we heard a few little things about what the game might have been,
Yeah.
but we never actually got to see it. I have seen I've seen some discussion in recent days since this news happened that Avalanche apparently isn't actually willing to throw out all of their work and is potentially looking for another publisher on this game to help them
Mm.
finish off the project. Um, because you have to wonder, well, there's a couple of things, right? I see this from both perspectives. So this game's been in development for many, many years at this
Yeah,
point.
it was announced 4 years ago, so you got to imagine that they probably had at least a year and a half, 2 years development on it.
Yeah, and so what I would say is the game's been in development for a really long time, and they haven't managed to get it to a place where Microsoft or Xbox felt comfortable showing it, which suggests to me that maybe the game has had some issues in development. I don't know. That's just speculation on my part.
Yeah.
So from the Xbox and Microsoft point of view, I can actually understand them pulling funding on this game in some regard, because when you've had a game that's in development for 6, probably 7 years, and you haven't had much to kind of show for it, at that point, how many more millions do you keep spending on making this game?
Yeah.
And at the same time, from the Avalanche point of view, I can understand why they wouldn't want to chuck out all of their work that they've done for the last 6 to 7 years. Because, if they've been on this thing for 6 to 7 years, there is also the argument that they might only be a year away from getting this game in shipping shape, like we have no idea, and it's going to be interesting if another publisher does pick up this game. It's going to be interesting to see what the game actually ends up being, because We saw this recently as well with the Wu-Tang Clan game that got announced, and I forget the name of it right now.
Yeah.
But there was a Wu-Tang Clan game that was announced not too long ago from Brass Lion, I believe it was, and that game was a we know we it has been confirmed was originally financed and was going to be published by Microsoft and Xbox Game Studios. That was the original thing that was going to happen there. And obviously, over the course of development, something happened, and that ended up, oh, we haven't seen Sugar for a long time. And that ended up happening for a while. Hello, Sugar. Sugar is Jeff's cat, if you're listening to this later in audio version, because we will be having an audio version of this podcast at some point. But yeah, so it's always upsetting when you see a game cancelled, but
Yeah.
I do think that as gamers and as people who cover the industry specifically, we have to be open-minded to the fact that this isn't just ultimately, whether we like it or not, the games industry is a business. It's not just a creative endeavor. And if I was running a business or Jeff was running a business, and let's say this game was costing us 10 million a year to fund development of, right? Might be even more than that, but let's say conservatively it was 10 million a year. I'm not sure that after spending, say, 60 to 70 million over 6 to 7 years, I'm not sure that I'd want to continue funding a game if I didn't even feel like they'd got it into shape to actually show yet.
You
So I
gotta
can,
figure they would want a return on something, right?
yeah, but then we've seen companies do weird things before. Like, look at that. Was it the Batgirl movie?
Yeah. They wrote it off as
Just,
a tax return or whatever.
yeah, and it's just like there's weird stuff that happens with companies, and I think that sometimes they just decide it's better to cut their losses. We also don't know, because something we did find out as part of this story, I believe it was Jez Corden who revealed this. When Tango Game, do you remember not too long ago when Tango GameWorks got shut down by Microsoft,
Yeah,
and
Crackle
then they
Gaming.
proceeded to be bought out, right?
Yeah.
What actually came out is before Microsoft even shut the studio down, they were trying to find them someone to buy the studio because they wanted to avoid shutting it down.
Yeah.
And there has been speculation that with this game Contraband, the reason that we haven't seen it show up is because potentially Xbox and Microsoft have actually been trying to help Avalanche find another publisher for it so
Yeah.
that they didn't have to cancel it. So if that's the case, then it would be interesting to see, because I would imagine that somebody's going to pick up this game,
Yeah.
because
Maybe
at the end of the
Tencent or
day,
something like that. Yeah.
when you've got a game that already has millions of dollars and years of work into it, I would imagine the investment to get it done isn't going to be that big, and it certainly isn't going to be as big as doing a game from the ground up.
Yeah.
So
At the same time, we're living in a world where Perfect Dark was canceled, right?
yeah, I know that still makes me sad.
Yeah.
Um,
Alrighty. We got two more pieces of news here. We've got Remedy Entertainment says that it was unsatisfied by poor launch sales of FBC Firebreak, but believes it has a solid game to build on and can win players over. The co-op PvE first-person shooter set in the Control universe was released on June 17th and is not only Remedy's first full multiplayer game, but it's also the first fully self-published game. In its half-year financial report published today, the publisher says that what the launch was a technical success because it reached over 1 million players in its first 10 days. This doesn't necessarily result in a financial success, since the majority of players were on Xbox Series X and S and PlayStation 5, both using Game Pass and PlayStation Plus.
mhm.
Now, I've played a little bit of it. I don't think there's anything that this game offers that justifies its existence to me. I didn't
Interesting.
I didn't care for it one bit. And it seems that kind of be the kind of the word going around.
I think what I would say is it's hard with these kind of games, right? So I'm a fan of Remedy, so take what I say with a pinch of salt, I guess, but I'm gonna be as honest as I can about the game. I don't think the game was bad. I do think that, as Jeff says, this game struggled to have something. This game struggled to have something to make it really stand out, other than Remedy's signature weirdness, but in a good way. Like Remedy's weird is a good weird, right?
Yeah.
And it definitely had that. But if you're not a fan of other Remedy things, you certainly weren't going to stick to this game. And the other thing is, these games and this genre, let's be frank, is quite hard
Well,
to break into.
the 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 one thing I'll say is, like, for Remedy, the only thing that they've made that I can say that I enjoyed was Control, even though the map didn't work for me through
Oh
the entire
yeah,
fucking game. Um, but when I'm playing this game, it doesn't feel like Control to me. It does the things that it needs to, like it mentions the oldest house and all this other shit, and has some of these same enemies. But Control was about a third-person character running around, flying and shooting things and stuff, not
yeah.
a person sitting there
Imagine,
with a camera.
imagine if this game was basically Control multiplayer. You know
Like,
what I
it would
mean?
be so much better than what, like, because this basically all it is you're running around. You got to fix the generator, and you go and fix the generator. You got to
Yeah,
fix this, the fan is to go like this. Then they're like, oh, okay, you need to escape and stuff, and it's like, it's just not exciting. Like, the loop itself is just not exciting. It rarely ever feels like Control.
yeah. I agree.
You know,
I
it's like,
agree.
it's like having the Alien versus Predator like license or whatever like that, and then you're getting like a Saturday morning cartoon out of it. Like, it just doesn't
Yeah.
feel like it.
I played. So what I would say is I played around 7 to 10 hours for review over on the Outer Haven,
Yeah.
and I did. I liked the game, but even I recognized that there wasn't anything that was going to hold me to this game, and I think that that was the big problem, right? Is like, and it also potentially. I'm a big fan of subscription services, but it does potentially open up the question of, while subscription services can help your game, is it ever wise to be on both subscription services at the same time?
Well,
Because
and
at
at the
that
same
point,
time, if this was like a 39.99 game,
yeah, yeah,
would it have even brought in people to play it, to populate the servers?
that's true. Good point. And I'm what I would say is I do wish nothing but success for Remedy, because I think that whether you like their games or not, there is no denying that they are one of the most creative studios within the industry. And I'm glad that they took a risk for them and tried to make something different. It's a shame that it hasn't panned out the way that they wanted it to. But, it's there's nothing wrong with taking a risk and failing. Like, take a risk and fail, and all will be okay. You can carry on. Do what you always do and fail, then you're in trouble. And they haven't failed at what they always do. They're like as you know, Jeff, Alan Wake 2, one of my favorite games of all time. Genuinely thought it was amazing. Really liked Control as well. I think Remedy are doing very, very good stuff. I think it's a shame for them that FBC Firebreak is their first self-published game, because it
Mhm.
would have been, it would have been nice for their first self-published game to be a bigger success. And
Yeah, the one thing that I will say that still makes it a success is that if this was a publisher deal where they were really devoted in terms of like needing to make money to impress the publisher. And suddenly
Yes.
you see these sales come in and they're weak. The publisher's not looking at them in a negative light. They're looking at themselves. Like they don't have to
Yeah.
worry about that burden being on the
Yeah.
publisher.
And I think that's why they say, right, that although technically the game is a success, because it's not, the game
And they can be
isn't
the
a
ones to
failure.
choose to continue to do it. It's not like EA going like, oh,
Yeah.
we have to shut down Anthem. Like
Yeah, precisely. Or it's not even like Concord, Imagine Concord is now the bar of failure, people. So
it's the
if you can
cyberpunk of live
outlast
action shooters.
if you can outlast Concord, I would argue that you're kind of a success in some way.
You know who didn't outlast Concord? CM Punk.
That's fair. That's fair. But we do have a little bit more of negative video game news, and this is actually from a studio that I am a big fan of, and from someone that I've interviewed in the past, and we will hopefully have on the podcast at some point in the future as well. So why don't you tell us that news, Jeff?
This one's interesting. So Bithell Games has announced that it's making the majority of its full-time staff redundant after failing to secure a new larger scale project. In a statement posted to social media, studio boss Mike Bithell wrote, "Sad news today, Bithell Games have been being able to secure a new larger scale project is reducing in size. This means that 11 jobs are being made redundant. This constitutes the majority of our full-time staff. It's become clear that leading up to the release of our most recent game that we were not immune to the challenges faced by many game development teams seeking funding partners in 24 and 25. We've fortunately been able to communicate these challenges ahead of time and work with affected staff to ease departures as much as possible via severance packages. Bithell Games is best known for Thomas Alone, Tron Catalyst, and John Wick Hex. The statement continues, it's important to state that this was an incredible team of exceptionally talented people. If you're a developer reading this and you're hiring among any of those affected would be great additions to your studio. Please reach out if we can help them, put you in touch with them. This news will not impact the availability of our existing self-published games and ongoing support for them. We are incredibly grateful for our audience and hope that your interest in our work follows individual team members as they head into other roles. Bithell Games was always defined and elevated by our people, and today we are less. The one thing that I like about this statement is it doesn't feel so PR handed.
I agree, and it's because it's because it's coming directly from Mike Bithell himself, right? And for those that don't know Mike Bithell, Thomas was alone. He essentially made by himself. Like it was they were very much a smaller thing at that time, and that game in some circles took over the world. It was a game about a block, but it ended up meaning a lot more to people. And
his solitaire game, Solitaire Conspiracy, was actually pretty neat.
Yeah, I agree. I really liked that game. I think that they make good games, and they are the epitome of an indie studio, right? And unfortunately, as Mike has said in his statement, we're in a weird place in the video game industry right now where funding is hard to come by, even for studios that are proven to be successful at a certain level of production.
Yeah.
And that is really sad. It's it's really, really sad. And I appreciate that. I completely agree with you. This is much less PR like, and it feels very human because me knowing Mike and having the opportunity to have spoken to him on several occasions, what he's saying here is coming from his heart. He's trying to be as open as he legally is allowed to be about the situation without kind of disrespecting anyone, right? And if you don't know Mike Bithell, you can go and check out Alana Pierce's podcast, Play, Watch, Listen, where he appears on that most weeks. And yeah, he's a wonderful guy. He had a great team of people that he's been working with to make some really interesting games. That they've made a couple of Tron games now, and it's unfortunately they just haven't had the success that they needed to have, or they haven't been able to kind of, as they say here, they haven't been able to secure funding for their next
Yeah,
slightly bigger project.
there's been tons of teams. There was one a little bit ago where they had to shut down because they were unable to secure. I think it was like a contract with like Saudi to have
Yeah,
funding for a game. So
yeah,
there's lots of studios that are like they miss out on that one big thing, and it just tanks their entire studio.
yeah, precisely. And
Like there's been 3 or 4 in the last year, I think, alone.
and for AAA studios, I can understand it because the cost of AAA is ridiculous, right?
Yeah.
Let's be honest. But at the indie level, at the Mike Bithell Games level, this shouldn't ever be an issue. These are, whether you like Bithell Games or not, there's no doubt. Just like similar to Sam Barlow, who you may or may not have heard of, they are proven at that level of production to have hits and to have games that people really enjoy. They should be able to get funding for essentially whatever they want to do at that production level. Like this team has worked with Disney on Tron, you know, like Tron is notoriously a hard IP to get hold of and to work with, and they managed to put a pitch together and do it right. So it's really sad. Like, this genuinely makes me very sad, this news, because if we're starting to see this stuff affecting indie as well, and the more successful indie studios, that suggests to me that, okay, now there's a significant problem in the industry, because maybe these publishers are tightening their belts a little bit too far, right? Maybe they are maybe they're going a bit too far with things, because I saw recently Glenn Schofield, the creator of Dead Space, who went to work on Call of Duty and then made the Callisto Protocol after that.
And
He
left the
um
studio.
he did leave his studio, and he recently said that he may not work in the games industry again, and his reasoning for that was because I believe his daughter has been trying to get funding to make a video game, and she's got a team of people that she was going to work with on an indie level type thing, and she hasn't even been able to secure any funding just for an indie game, right? And it's like, and he was saying, like, that stuff just makes him sick, essentially, that
Well,
these
even like
companies that make
Ron
millions.
Ferguson. Ron Ferguson
Yeah,
left Blizzard as well too, and he's only there
yeah,
for like 5 years or so. So
yeah,
yeah, a lot of people are kind of bouncing in certain directions for a variety of
yeah,
different reasons. And yeah, like it's you see tons of
yeah,
studios that, like, people are always complaining about like gaming diversity. They're like, oh, this game always plays the same. This is the same thing as blah blah blah, and then they don't buy the
yeah,
new games that are original.
yeah. Or they criticize games that are at a certain price point because they're not the big shiny AAA game, which is something we'll talk about more later on.
Yeah, because I know like people were complaining that Mafia 3 was like cheaper than the AAA get prices and stuff, and like
Yeah.
they're like, oh, it's only 40 gigs. That can't be good.
It's
Like,
like, it's not supposed to be like it. Yes, it's a AAA game, but it's supposed to be almost like an old school AAA game. That's
yeah,
that's what they're positioning it as, and it's, yeah, it's really interesting. It's really interesting because it just shows that, quite frankly, and I don't want to criticize anyone, but quite frankly,
do it.
the
Criticize
majority
anyone.
of gamers still don't have any understanding of the industry and how
Yeah,
the industry works. And the industry has become so much of a business that they are now in danger of losing the creative part of it. Because if you're not even willing to spend a couple of $100,000 on an indie game, because apparently the world's gone terrible, and yeah, don't get me wrong, I get that the economic situation in the world has really changed, right? But I'm never going to have sympathy for companies that make hundreds of millions of dollars a year in profit, if not billions in some cases, and they can't even go and fund an indie game that's probably going to cost a maximum of a couple of $1 million in most cases. You know, it's ridiculous, because that's like that's not even pocket change to these companies. That's like the $1 coin that you find down the back of the sofa or something. You know,
Yeah.
it's
All the
money that they
loony.
could lose. Yeah. So it is what it is. But I see here, Jeff, that you say we have one last news piece. So what is that news?
Yeah, this one's interesting. Legendary Silent Hill composer Akira Yamaoka says that he would love to compose something for Resident Evil one day. Yamaoka is synonymous with the Silent Hill series having a distinct sound, having composed the soundtracks for the first 6 main entries in the series, as well as the rebooted Silent Hill Shattered Memories and last year's Silent Hill 2 remake and the Silent Hill movies. So this is interesting because Silent Hill has a very distinct soundtrack. Like you can play like a couple notes of those songs, and you know instantly what Silent Hill, where it came from, all that kind of stuff. Can you think of any music for Resident Evil that is memorable at all, other than that fucking like trombone bullshit in the first game?
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. What you can't think of any, can you?
Like there's literally like not a single, I think, piece of music that is like really known for Resident Evil. Whereas like yeah, like you play the main theme of Silent Hill 2, like,
Yes.
and you instantly know that music. So like I think having him on Resident Evil would be interesting because it'd be a completely different sound. Because you just don't replicate the Silent Hill stuff. It has to be
Yes.
unique. But yeah, like Resident Evil is one franchise that to me does not have a single theme that is
Yeah,
like
and for a
known for it.
franchise that big and that beloved, you know, and that long running, it's actually really surprising that it doesn't have a theme, right? It's like I think of something, for example, like the Elder Scrolls games, right?
Yeah.
And they never really had a theme. And then Skyrim came along, and then the Skyrim theme just became the theme to the entire franchise because it was
Yeah.
so popular and it was so like
And I wouldn't be a bit surprised if that theme came together as somebody in a car park, you know, like basically just like, oh wait, I gotta get home. Like that's how
yeah.
the Halo music started was,
Yes,
you
it
know, that
did. Yeah.
yeah, that
Yeah,
guy
that's
was just like,
correct.
you know, coming up with it on the drive over to Microsoft or whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
It's funny.
yeah, it's such an interesting story because again, you have somebody that has a distinct sound that is tied strictly to Silent Hill. I think he did the music for that Slitterhead as well too, I think.
Yeah, I believe he did.
Um,
Yeah.
and you know, but that game was what it is. But Silent
Yeah.
Hill like has a very unique sound, and I think bringing like a composer like that to Resident Evil would be
And the fact that
interesting.
he has said he'd like to work on the franchise kind of makes you think he's probably got an idea already of what he would like to do with
Maybe
that
when they
franchise.
remake 6, he can do all the music for that.
But speaking about video games with good music, we have both been playing Battlefield 6. Uh, and Battlefield, of course, has a legendary theme. I am going to put up some gameplay here. Please, please ignore the fact that this gameplay is terrible. This was the first time I'd ever played the game, and
Well, and
I was just
the HDR kind of washed out visuals and stuff, even though you said you turned off HDR.
I did.
Or
So
that's yeah,
this
well,
game just doesn't record well in OBS apparently. But what I will say is this is the most fun I've had with Battlefield in a really long time. And I do think that it's shaping up to be a very interesting game.
Imagine,
You know,
imagine if this game had the ability to blow out walls and stuff like Bad Company. Like,
I mean, you can blow up some walls.
yeah. But no, like it's fun to play. Like even just like the base gun that I had, stuff felt really, really good.
Yeah, I agree.
Like Time to Kill, I think was very serviceable.
Hmm.
Oh, excuse me.
So what I will say, I agree with you. I do. That's actually my one thing with the game, is I do think there's a bit of balancing that needs to be done. Like,
Yeah,
I think the time to kill in a one-on-one fight is fine. However, I found myself in a lot of situations, like you saw in the gameplay just there, where I would be shooting at one person and then I would kill them or whatever. And by the time I can even look at the second person, they've killed me. And it's like
yeah,
that just isn't fun, because it leads to this situation where anytime you run into more than one enemy at a time, it feels like you basically have no chance of survival. Um, and I think that will get in the way of the fun somewhat. I'm not asking for this game to be Call of Duty. It doesn't need
yeah.
to be
Well,
Call of Duty.
my one criticism is the menus feel very Call of Duty, and I don't like them. Like in terms of
Yeah,
like picking your game types and all that kind of stuff.
I agree. I
You
think those
feel
menus
that
need to be updated.
overwhelming tile bullshit.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
But
I think that.
yeah,
And one other criticism, and this is more of the player base than the game itself. Please, people, if you select medic, actually play as a medic, and
yeah.
and and get people. Like, I had people who were playing medic, and they would literally run over the top of me, and just carry on going. And it's like, what are you doing? There's nobody around. You could have got me up. Like,
Oh,
and
look at that
especially,
destruction! Fuck yeah.
yeah. So
No,
there,
like
so there's.
it's great. Like honestly, like I am way more excited for Battlefield 6 than I am for Call of Duty, and I've never been excited for a Battlefield other than Bad Company.
Yeah, that's fair. That is fair. But yeah, I was very impressed. I like that, all of the guns felt different but felt useful. Um, I even managed to get a couple of handgun kills, which is something I usually don't. I usually don't find myself using a handgun too often in
Yeah,
these
I
games.
I never use the handgun. They're like, "Oh, it's faster than reloading." I'm like, "Yeah, but it never feels good to use."
Yeah, yeah.
Like like I'll talk about it in a bit, but like Killing Floor 3, like I hardly ever use the handgun,
That's fair. That's fair. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. I believe the release date is October the 10th, or that's what sticks out in the
which will be
top of
a
my
full
mind.
month before Call of Duty if the leaks are to be
If
believed
the
from the
leaks are
community.
correct, yeah. And I think that, that's something that is potentially dangerous for
So
Call of
if
Duty if
so if
this
we
game ends up being as good as it seems.
if we have Battlefield coming out October 10th and
Hmm.
Call of Duty coming out November 14th, does that mean that on October 30th for Halloween we get Titanfall 3? That's
That would
that's
that would be hilarious.
that's what's going to happen.
Do you know what the funny thing is, though? Is if they ever did that again, Titanfall would probably be really successful.
Oh, it would be, yeah, it would just destroy all of them. Yeah. Or maybe we Horizon.
Yeah, true.
They've released those against really, really bad odds. So
Yes, yeah. So yeah, what I would say is my initial impressions of Battlefield is this is the franchise going back to a
three.
more Battlefield 3, Battlefield 4 type of game.
Yeah.
And that is a brilliant, brilliant thing. It feels really snappy. Like, I'm playing obviously on PC here, but it does feel very, very snappy. It feels really well optimized. I saw even Digital Foundry said recently that for how well optimized this beta is, it almost feels like the game could launch now. Like, it's got that level of polish, at least in the multiplayer. I like there, as you just see, when you're playing as medic,
Yeah,
you can actually drag people along and get them into cover and things. I really
yeah.
like that. That's a new
It's
addition.
it's just a lot of smart choices. It plays really nice. I've only played like I think like the team deathmatch mode. I generally don't play like the war ones where you're going from A and then expands to B and expands to C. Those ones I just
Yeah.
find a little too overwhelming because generally I just want a
Yes.
kind of quick 10-minute match and then
Yes. Yeah. We should try and play some over this open beta weekend, Jeff.
yeah, no,
We
I'm down.
should try and play some and give people some more impressions.
Even
But
after
as
the
you can
podcast
see
if you
here,
want.
this is what I mean. So I'm down right now, yeah? And there's people that are not that far away from me, lots of them. And none of them want to come to my aid. It's like, and there's one guy that's gonna come in a second, I think.
Did
Here we
it?
go. He did it, and it's just like, but the amount of times it happens where I'm in a mode right now where you basically have a certain number of respawns per a team, right?
Yeah,
So it benefits you to get people up rather than letting them die and letting them use one of the respawns, and yet people play as medic and don't do it. Like, they just don't. There's that guy there who's literally ran away from me, and I'm on the floor. Like, it's very strange. It's very,
people
very
don't
strange.
play objective and they don't play their support roles. They're just getting
And
kills.
but what I would say is, if you're new, because there's definitely going to be some people who are jumping into Battlefield for the first time with Battlefield 6. And what I would say is the biggest difference between Battlefield and Call of Duty, outside of the time to kill, is that in Battlefield, you actually benefit significantly from playing your role. Like, if me
Yeah.
and Jeff are together and one of us is medic and the other one is playing assault, we're going to benefit from the person who's medic actually acting as a medic.
I think a
You
lot
should,
of it also comes down to people probably solo queuing and then not
yeah.
having teammates so they don't get the feedback that the person's down because they're focused on what they're doing.
They're so focused on what they're doing, yeah. It's but yeah, I personally, I like I said, I've been playing medic. I've tried all of the classes. At the moment, the only thing I would say is not very many of the maps feel well suited, or at least the maps that are available in this beta don't feel very well suited to the recon class. There's just not really very many sniper lanes and things like that. There's not much opportunity for sniping, and
Yeah.
the opportunity that there is, you usually, by the time you even get there, you've got another sniper who's taken your head off, kind of thing. It's quite interesting in that regard. But moving on, I want to talk about something I've been playing that you will be playing soon, Jeff. So please forgive the spoilers in this gameplay that's going to come up. But this is Mafia: The Old Country, and this is very near to the start of the game. But
I've seen
for
the first hour.
people, nice. So for people who don't know, Mafia: The Old Country is a prequel to the entire franchise, and it's set in Sicily, which is where the mafia is believed to have started. Um, and yeah, it's interesting because they've moved away from the open world style of Mafia 3, and they've gone back to a more linear focused design that we saw in the original Mafia and Mafia 2 games.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean that you don't get sections where you can explore, because there's definitely some ability to explore certain areas in the game. But there's a lot of it's old school in its design, in the sense that I'll be in a mission, for example, and one of the missions sees you doing a horse race, right? But before you do this horse race, the guy says to you, "Oh, you can look around." However, if you go to certain places, a timer will come up on the screen and it will say, get back to the mission area because you're still confined
Yeah.
within a certain area. Because ultimately, this game is a story game. Mafia has always been about story first.
Yeah.
And
It's also likely a budget issue as well too, because like
yeah,
they probably don't have a lot of money to kind of throw around to kind of
yeah,
create it. So
and
they
you
just
know,
define it, but that doesn't
yeah.
need to be a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing, and it feels very much like in its design, at least, it feels very much like an Xbox 360 game, right? But it has the production value of a much more modern game. And what I would say is, people have to remember this game is selling, I believe, for $50, something like that. It's
Something
it's
like
a
that, yeah.
it's a cheaper price point, and because of that cheaper price point, yeah, there are some cutbacks because they haven't spent as much money making the game,
Oh,
right?
good thing that horse appeared.
but this is essentially like an older AAA game in terms of what it's aiming for.
Yeah.
It's a much more linear experience that they have a story they want to tell, which is really interesting, and it's going to last you anywhere between 8 and 12 hours because there are some side things you can do, but they're not your traditional side
Yeah,
quests.
my friend said
They're
it was pretty easy to platinum too, and he only played about 9 hours.
Yeah. So what I would say is it's really interesting. There is like some interesting music in it. I'll turn it up a bit here so you can hear it. And it's
We're
like
gonna get flagged for copyright.
no, that's fine. It's music that's in the game. We'll be fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's very, it gives the Godfather vibes in the best way possible, is what
Oh,
I would
those are
say.
nicely rendered lemons.
And as you saw a little bit earlier, one of the big changes to this Mafia game is there is a huge focus on knife fighting.
Yeah, my friend was saying that you do that a lot.
Yeah, knife fighting is actually the primary focus here, and you know it starts
Bringing a
off
knife to a
quite
gunfight.
it starts off quite basic with like slashing and stabbing, and then eventually you learn how to parry and how to break defenses
Okay.
and things like that. Um, it is more basic than some people might like, but ultimately it's there to serve a purpose, right? It's there to get the job done. And one of the interesting things about it is you can get different knives in the game. So, and these different knives will allow you to do different things. So, for example, I've got one where when I do a stealth takedown, because there are stealth sections in the game also,
Yeah.
when I do a stealth takedown, it will actually heal me and I will
Like
automatically
real
loot
knives do.
the person. Yeah, so it's there's some interesting stuff in there. There's collectibles you can find which you can then take to a trader to unlock other weapons. Because there's a certain currency in the game, and I forget the name of it right now, but as you get more of this currency, you can basically buy better
Yeah.
versions of the
Or Mafia
weapons that
2
you
had
have.
the Playboy magazines that you had to find, I think.
Yeah.
That
So
was the first
so
one.
what I would say is if you're looking for a modern open world GTA style Mafia 3 style game, this game is not for you.
Yeah.
But if you're somebody that enjoyed Mafia 1 or Mafia 2, and I would say this is most closely to Mafia 2 in my
That's good.
opinion.
That was the best one aside from that awful
Yeah.
remaster.
Yeah. Um I would say this is most close to Mafia 2, and if you enjoyed that game, this game is you're going to enjoy it to some degree. Um, and you know, this is a little stealth section here that I'm doing. The stealth is interesting because you'll grab someone, you'll see it in a minute, you'll grab someone, and then you won't just automatically
Oh, he has
choke them out.
Batman vision.
You won't just automatically choke them out. You have to basically tap the button and fill a meter within a certain amount of time to choke them out. Otherwise, they'll get away from you. So it's like it adds some quite interesting things to the stealth aspect of it as well. Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I would say that from a gameplay standpoint, people could argue that it's more on the basic side. Like, there is a simplicity to it,
which is
but
fine.
I
Yeah.
also don't think that's a bad thing in this style of game, right? It works for what it's trying to do. As you just saw there, when you get your knife, you also can use the knife to open up locked doors or locked boxes with loot in. And your knife will actually become dull. So when you do this, it will dull the blade of your knife, which in turn will impact its effectiveness in knife fights, right? So you can actually find whetstones throughout the world. They'll sometimes be on enemies. They'll sometimes be in boxes and things like that. And you can basically resharpen your knife, and then different knives that you can get will have different amounts of sharpness they can have, requiring you to sharpen them less often or more often, depending on that level of sharpness that they can have. So there are things to it. Like, it's not that the gameplay is basic in the sense of there is depth to the gameplay. You have to think about your knife being sharp. You have to think about what to do and things like that. There's been some criticism of the animations. Personally, I have no problem with the animations. They, like, generally speaking, they're good. Oh, there's no swimming, but who cares about swimming? Like, not all games need to have swimming. Um, and what I would say is where the basic part of it comes in is the functionality, right? So this is very much a Mafia in the sense of it's a cover-based shooter with melee combat, right? And the melee combat is a bigger focus this time around than it has been
Yeah,
in previous
it's kind of been
games.
almost a trend in the last like 2 or 3 years, where you get a lot of third-person games that are more melee focused than gun focused.
Yes. Yeah. So I would just say, yeah, I really enjoy it. I think it's a good game that people. I will be writing a review on the Outer Haven eventually. I've kind of had writer's block on how to actually word what I want to say in the review, because that can be
Yeah,
difficult
ours will be
sometimes.
late because I'm working on about 5 games right now, and then eventually
Yes.
getting
Yeah.
to Mafia.
So I'll get that up at some point. But what I would say is, at least based on my experience, as I said, if you're a fan of Mafia, whether that be Mafia 1, 2, or 3, quite frankly, um, this is a good video game. It's a good video game. Is it a great video game? That will depend on your personal mileage with certain things. I personally don't mind that it's a fully linear, very focused, we're going to tell you a story video game. That, I think we need more of those.
Yeah,
Like, this is an 8 to 10 hour video game. There's no problem. There's
it's
no
very
problem with that.
digestible.
It's something that you can play probably in 2 sittings, if you, depending on how long your gaming sessions are. I would imagine Jeff can probably play this entire game over a weekend when he's off work. It's something that's really nice and easy to play, and it
I'll play
takes
it
me
during
back
work. Fuck it, let's do it. Using my Xbox, my
uh,
TV.
and it takes me back to a time when games were much more simple, but you would play them several times over, right? So I'm currently playing something else that is similar to this that I can't talk about, but is similar in terms of being more
I know
story
what it is.
focused.
I know what it is.
And going back to that time in gaming just kind of is really nice. It takes me back to a simpler time, but not not a less impressive time, right? Like, I'm all for great open world games, as you know, Jeff, and I think you're the same. But there's definitely room for more of these kind of story focused, one and done, um, easily digestible package video games, right? That still have a high quality of production value, as you can see here. And it's so yeah, I would just say I think that this game at this price point of around $50 is absolutely worth the money. That's how I would put it. If you aren't a fan of Mafia, however, this game probably isn't going to do it for you because this isn't the GTA replacement that some people are looking for right now. That's not even what it's trying to be.
Yeah.
So I would just keep that in mind for people. And now, as we move on, I've only played one more thing that I can talk about, and we've actually both played it. I've only played a little bit of it, so you'll see my capture here coming up now. But what is this game, Jeff?
This
Man,
is
it's
Echoes of the End. This is by Merker Games. This game is built by about 40 people. They've been hiring since the game started development. Originally in 2019, they only had about 10 or 15 people. This is another Unreal Engine 5 game. These are my favorite types of games, like just third-person adventure, magic, swords, and stuff like that. These are games that are fueled by passion more so than publisher intent. This game is really, really good so far. A lot of the hate feels generally forced, and I think it's just that whole like you play as woman, so must be bad, must be woke. Like it's getting a lot of that kind of talk, which is just completely nonsensical bullshit.
And I think also we should mention that even though this game does have problems, so one thing you might notice in this gameplay here is
Stuttering.
there are some weird visual effects that can happen on the PC version where
Yeah,
you
there
might
is some noise in the Xbox version. Like I'll pause it and then unpause it, and it'll kind of like almost rebuild in like
Mhm.
these little weird things, and
Yeah.
that's kind of stuff that
So
this is a small team,
yeah.
so I'm expecting things like that.
So there are some technical issues, but what I wanted to highlight is, as far as I'm aware, this is this team's first ever video game. So for them to achieve something like this with their
Oh, it's
first
gorgeous.
game,
Yeah,
I think look at it. Look at this game.
yeah, like it is.
It's
Like some of the vistas are amazing. Like there's almost no pop in that I've had.
yeah,
Basically,
it's crazy.
this is a team where they're like, hey, we like The Witcher 3, we like God of War, and this follows in the same kind of footsteps of things like um, Flintlock, Siege of Dawn, Banishers, Ghosts of New Eden, and then Blades of Fire, I think is what it is.
Hmm.
It's that kind of feel to it. I'm thinking you're playing live. You're not. The one thing, the only criticism I have on this game so far that I can say is bad is the skill
Okay.
tree menu feels like
Yeah.
placeholder.
Okay, that's interesting. So I didn't get to the skill tree
Yeah, it just
menu
feels
yet.
like the little nodes that you're filling in look good. I'm talking about like the fact that it's got these little white things on the side for like the icons and then the font
Hmm.
and stuff. It doesn't feel the spectacle that this game is, but
Yeah,
this is a puzzle adventure style game where there's a lot of
yeah.
puzzles that are based off your power, and you have the ability to you almost have like force powers where you can like move
Yeah.
things.
So if I
And
go back a second there, you'll see what I mean. So when she climbs up here, you'll see a flash of green over here somewhere in a minute, over on the
yeah,
right hand
yeah,
side.
sometimes you will have like that Unreal Engine kind of
And
stutter
it's
where it does show
and
you
it's
stuff.
just weird. Like, watch this flash of green. You ready? There it is.
Yeah, I
Do you
saw it.
see it? And
Yeah,
it's and so that, at least on the PC version, that will happen quite frequently. But other than that, the game is beautiful. Like it's genuinely a beautiful game. I think
yeah,
there is obviously some optimization that needs to happen.
yeah, for sure.
Um, However, I'm really impressed so far. Like I said, I only played around the first hour or so just to get some capture here to show on the show while
Yeah,
we're
like
talking about it. But
so
I am impressed.
yeah, like I'll get to the combat in a bit here. But the puzzle stuff is the most interesting stuff because it does feel like that God of War kind of puzzle type of things and stuff where
Yeah.
you can ask hints if you want
I
to.
would say they're actually more interesting than the God of
Yeah.
War puzzles.
So so these ones here, like you have the ability of like moving stuff, but eventually you'll team up with someone called Abram, and he'll basically he has the ability of putting things in stasis. So like there'll be a type of thing where um, you'll use this apparatus to manipulate the environment, but you can put something in a stasis and manipulate around it. So then your character could jump on that, unstasis, and it moves it to where it normally would have been. So there's like a platform that's on the ground. You'll step on it, or sorry, you'll put a platform on the ground. You'll stasis it. You'll move the apparatus, and then everything around it starts to move. But you'll jump on the platform, unstasis, and then it'll move up. So there's some really,
I'm
really
about
neat
to
stuff.
die from a terrible gamer mistake. I just pressed the button and I shouldn't have pressed it. Watch.
You did.
And then I think I did the same thing again, if I remember rightly. It was I just didn't read the hint. It was one of those things where you know when you think you know better and you don't read the
Yeah, the
hint.
first time I did that, I hit B to drop down instead of A, and then died. Just hit A. No direction. There you go. You did it. Yeah, no, like combat is pretty good. Like it's got this thing where like
Mm,
you'll have your standard attack. You'll get when you get your first skill point, you'll unlock your heavy attack. And then you can also use your blast to kind of push people away. Eventually, you'll gain the ability of draining health from them, which is a good way to heal.
here we go.
And you have like a parry, which then leads to a counterattack. And eventually your skill tree starts doing things where like if you parry, you'll stomp on the ground and your blast will affect them. Um, Cork can set people on fire. Abram will basically stasis. So you can go combo, 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 stasis, and then combo, combo, combo again. And it
Mm,
really, really works well. There's
yeah,
dismembered in the game. Like you can lop off heads, arms, you can chop people right in half. um, it does a really, really good job. Like again, I love these types of games, and I can understand people looking at it going, "Oh, it seems like blah 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 blah." And I've seen people going like, "Well, it's slightly better than Mind's Eye." I'm like, "Fuck you!" Like Mind's Eye was a
yeah,
disaster of a launch. This game is
yeah,
100% playable. It looks gorgeous. The
yeah.
voice acting's really good,
Yeah, like nobody's gonna sit here and say this game doesn't need some additional polish because it
for
definitely
sure.
does. But at
This is
the
made
end
by
of the day,
40
this is a
people, and it's their
yeah,
first game.
and it's a more than playable game. I
Oh,
enjoyed
it
what I
is.
played of it.
Yeah, it is excellent so far. You get these little choices where you can pick things because, like,
Yeah,
she has a history where she's something called a vestige, and basically there are people that can use magic naturally, whereas everybody else
yes,
has to use a focus brace. And
yeah,
Corey's using a focus brace to project fire,
yeah.
and so
I want to,
basically,
if I can find here in the gameplay,
yeah,
I want to talk about one of the issues that I have with the game, at least early on. Here it is. Here it is. Let me go back a bit. This section I kept dying on, and I
yeah,
know why. But these enemies hit hard. Is what is what I was gonna say. Like I'm on the normal difficulty here,
yeah.
and
Well, eventually you get the ability to use your vestige powers to like gain health from enemies.
hmm.
Um,
So what was killing me is there's a little guy over in the corner that throws like these fireball things at you. He's
yeah.
like slinging things at you, and that was just killing me. Like so, I kept trying to, but I was stuck on this for a little minute. But what I would say is I really like the combat because it's fairly simple, but it seems like there's going to be more depth added to it as I play
Yeah, like when you
more
start looking
and
at the skill
upgrade
tree and all
skills
the
and
things that you
things.
can do, every skill that you get feels like you are progressing with leaps as opposed to just like small little like brush strokes. Like it doesn't feel like little things where it's like, oh, your heavy attack now does 5% damage. No, like it's adding like flourishes to those heavy
Yes.
attacks and things like that.
Yeah.
So it's great. It looks gorgeous. The puzzles and stuff are really, really fun. Use your
And
little force powers
these
and
are the
stuff.
kind of puzzles you'd have, right? So you'll have to find something to then navigate through the
Oh,
world.
yeah, like and about an hour and a half from this, you start getting puzzles that where it's like you have to freeze this, then jump on this, and then you have to move this to get this up here, and then that goes there. You unlock like a shortcut to then go and turn that part off, so you can go up the shortcut and grab this, and then go there, and then move this. Like it's these big
Yeah.
elaborate types of things
Yeah.
that really, really work good, and it's gorgeous. Like my God, like 40 people.
Yeah, like when I saw this, I genuinely for a minute I didn't want to move. I was like, this looks really cool.
Yeah, and
It's
it's
like
solid. Like I like the character of Rin. Like she has
hmm,
this history with where her dad basically trained her as a vestige, but
yeah.
also kept her kind of a secret. And she has this relationship with her brother where her brother got to know her dad a different way. And then she got to know her
Yes.
dad as like the teacher, the very strict person where it's like you don't have fun, you have to train. And you meet Abram, who knows her father or knew her father because her father died a month ago, and then teams up with her to kind of stop this like army from like using their own vestige for evil. So essentially, like you do have an encounter with their vestige that kind of doesn't go the way that you want it to go, but it then introduces you to Abram as a character, and it's the story is really, really nice so far. Vestiges are kind of like they're not welcomed. They also suffer from the same kind of thing that Rogue from the X-Men suffers, where if people touch them, they get burnt. Because when you meet Corey, he's got this huge burn mark all over his body, and she's like, "Here, take my hand." It's like, "I'm not touching you again." He's like, "Yeah, but you can barely even notice the scars anymore." Like he wants to help her and stuff, but she's very dangerous to kind of touch, and it does touch on that moment of like isolation and like that she kind of has to be alone in certain aspects of it, and it does a really, really good job so far,
Yeah.
kind of
So
illustrating that.
here I knew what to do, but I was waiting to see if he'd give me a hint just to see. And as you say, you can ask for a hint, which I
Yeah, and there are
did there.
achievements that if you solve puzzles on your own, certain puzzles, so if you use the hint thing, just I would say avoid it on the ones that are tied to achievements.
Yes. But yeah, as you can see, these are the kind of puzzles you'd have, right? So I had to bring that thing down to get Core to go across there to light the fire, and then move this around, move that out the way because it was turning at the same time, and then move it back.
Badger, no!
Um, so there's a lot of these kinds of puzzles, right? And the only thing I'd say about these puzzles is I wish it was a little bit snappier to kind of move between doing different things. I
Yeah, I haven't really had that much of an issue. My main thing is I sometimes forget. Okay, this is the only thing that I can say is awful.
okay.
When you're using the abilities of like pressing LT,
Mm-hmm.
excuse me, and then using the button to kind of manipulate and pull things.
Yes.
When you're using an analog stick and you pull back, analog sticks have they will spring forward. So if you pull back, they'll snap back. And
Yes.
sometimes if you're trying to do it, it'll snap back and then go the opposite direction. It'll feed off that snap back as
Oh
opposed to the
wow.
direction you pulled. And
Oh
that's the
wow.
only thing that I don't like. Um, but no, like again, I'm only about 2.5 hours into it so far. It's supposed to be about 15 to 20 hours. And I am really enjoying this game, like tremendously so. It's
Yeah.
certainly not as polished as Banishers of New Eden, Ghosts of New Eden, but it so far I think that this is way better than Flintlock Siege of Dawn. It's tremendously better than Blades of Fire. Um, but
Yeah.
no, I think so far. I think when this game eventually, when I reach credits, I think I will like it better than Banishers Ghosts of New Eden because I think Banishers was just too long, and
Okay.
So I think with
Interesting.
this game, I hope it doesn't overstay its welcome. I hope that 15 hours remains
Yeah.
constant. I like the story. And I do
Mhm.
like it better so far than what is that Magic first person game? Immortals of Avium.
Oh, Immortals of Avium,
Yeah,
yeah.
I do like it better so far, and visually outstanding. It's Icelandic photo geometry, or chemistry, or
Yes,
whatever it's called. The team followed the same principles as Ninja Theory for Hellblade, and they
they
have a
did.
full series of behind the scenes documentaries about how they've made the game, and I'm gonna go and watch those after I beat it.
Yeah.
But game is absolutely fantastic, and like this is the type of thing where it's like, hey, if you want to support small teams making really really amazing games and not feeding into the corporate machine, get this game, play it. It's fantastic. I've
Yeah.
really been enjoying it.
Yeah, I'll definitely be playing more of it, so hopefully if myself and Jeff end up finishing it around the same time, we'll probably collaborate on the review and
Yeah,
maybe
we'll
maybe
do
we'll
a
have a
review
second
episode.
opinion.
Yeah, we can do a review episode. We can even maybe, yeah, if anybody out there has like a YouTube presence or like a podcast or anything like that, and you've beaten the game and stuff like that, reach out to us. We can probably have you on for a review
Yeah,
episode.
definitely, because I don't see that many people covering this game, and I think that it's one that deserves to be covered,
Yeah,
given
the
that
only people that are
you know
covering it on YouTube are like game woke. You play a woman. Like that's pretty much the majority of the people that are on YouTube just bashing it.
it's that's crazy. Because if you ask me, I've like I said, I've only played about an hour so far. I'm pleasantly surprised. Like the game is good. The game is definitely good. It has things going for it that are positive. Yes, it needs some extra polish, but that can come in time. And it's also it doesn't need so much polish. Like the game isn't broken. It
No,
just needs a little bit of extra polish
yeah,
around the edges. Um, so yeah, I would say that I'm equally impressed with it. I do look forward to playing more of it. Unfortunately, I am quite busy for the next week or so because I'm playing something that I can't speak about yet, but you'll hear about very soon. So I need to get that done, and then there's a few other things that I'll be playing for us as well. As I mentioned earlier, I do have a code for Madden 26, which obviously is out now and you can play it now, but we unfortunately didn't get our code until around a day before the full release of the game. So
yeah.
that I'll be reviewing that at some point in the
I like how
upcoming couple of
IGN, I think
weeks.
it was IGN, going the best Madden in years, and they gave it an 8.
That's interesting. But yeah, so I'll be reviewing that as well, and we'll see how that goes. But Jeff, before we finish off here, we've got a little bit more time. Is there anything else that you've been playing that you can speak about?
Let me see what I've got here loaded up on Xbox dashboard here. I will be reviewing the Nightling. If you've had
Yes.
a chance to check out any footage for that and stuff like that, he basically plays a little guy who's got a shield. He's searching after his knight, and I'll be having more impressions on that once we get closer to embargo time. Um,
Nice.
and one game I can't talk about right now, but I will talk about Killing Floor 3.
Yes.
Um,
Yeah, you were telling
so
me this is quite good, apparently.
I've never played the first Killing Floor 1 or 2. I haven't played those at all.
Okay.
So I have no context about how this is different, how this is worse, how this is better, nothing like that. But what I can say is Killing Floor 3 is very fun. Everybody kind of works together so far that I've played on it, and it's basically like a 6-on enemy type of wave-based type of thing. You're
Mhm.
basically killing like grotesque monsters and things like that, and creatures and all sorts of monsters thingies, and it's really fun. The battle pass is a bit confusing because you get a lot of free items, but you have to like unlock an entire page to get some of those free items, but they're not free because you have to get the battle pass to unlock the items on the page to get the free items. So that doesn't make any sense. Apparently, the other killing floors didn't have a battle pass or something, because when I told my friend at work that it was a battle pass, he's like, "What?" Um, but Yeah, so it is basically you pick like a class. There's like a guy that has a samurai sword and playing as the girl with like the flame SMG, and
Nice.
it's really fun. Like it plays really nice. The combat is snappy. The amount of enemies that are kind of like the world that you're kind of playing around is pretty big spaces. And in between each round, you can go to a little thing and you pay to upgrade your weapons, you refill your health, you refill your armor. Um, but no, so far I've played probably about 3 or 4 rounds of it so far. There are little story objectives that you'll have during missions, like scanning bodies to get DNA samples, picking up notes and files and stuff like that while you're playing the games and stuff like that. So it's got these little moments. But so far, it has been pretty good to play. I've really quite enjoyed it. It just feels very good to play. I've been playing
Nice.
through crossplay, so I've had no problems finding matches whatsoever.
I
But
was gonna ask
yeah,
if there's crossplay because
yeah,
I wonder if we might be able to get me a PC code for this game, and then if we do, maybe I can stream it on our YouTube channel,
yeah.
us
No,
playing together.
I've been really enjoying it so far. Just other games have just been kind of taking my time for me to kind of devote more than 1 or 2
Yeah.
matches and stuff because
That's
still doing
kind
my
of my
dailies and
thing at the
piling.
moment with a few of the things I've been playing is like they've been real like I want to go and play more Battlefield 6, right?
Yeah,
But I have to play this other thing I've been playing for review because that review is coming sooner than I would have expected given the release date. And
yeah, I hate
and
when they
yeah.
do like a week before or something like that. Like 3 or
Yeah.
4 days before would be great.
And don't get me wrong, when you do so what I always think to give people some inside baseball here is like when we get a game and the embargo for reviews is a week before the release to the public of the game, that says to me, oh, they're quite confident in the game.
Yeah,
Like when their embargo is that much earlier, that means they're confident because they think the reviews are going to help the sales.
but even then, there's
Do you
a
know what I mean?
lot of games where the embargo is literally the day of release.
Yeah, and that always concerns me, even though it's not always a reason for concern. It because sometimes the embargoes the day of the release, and these games are actually great.
Yeah,
But sometimes the embargoes the day of the release, and then you go, oh, that's why the embargoes the day of release. So it's interesting, but yes, it does mean that as much as reviewing games is something we love doing, right? We want to share our opinion about games. One thing that I think people maybe don't understand is that myself and Jeff and all the people at the Outer Haven and any other place that reviews games is we don't always get to play the games we want to play in the way that we want to play them. Like I could be playing like I said I could go and play some more Battlefield 6 right now. Jeff could go and play some more Killing Floor 3, but we've always worked on the principle of but if we have a code come in for something, especially if we're still ahead of the embargo and we have a chance of hitting the embargo on something, that code takes priority over something where maybe the codes come in a month
yeah.
after the
Except
game's come
right
out,
now, I'm
right?
looking at 4 code games right on my dashboard for Xbox, so it's like fucking hell. But at least some
So
of them, like, I don't have embargoes for another 2 weeks.
yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, I luckily with a lot of the codes I have at the minute, there aren't that many embargoes. I've only got one that's under a very serious embargo, and you'll all understand why when you figure out what that game is. What I would say is make sure you're following me on Blue Sky to hear about that. I'll be posting about that at some point in the future. But yeah, I'm kind of with you, and Killing Floor 3 sounds really interesting. I may have to try and get my hands on this game because it does sound like the kind of thing I would enjoy. Is there anything else that we want to say to people before we get out of here, Jeff?
Um, I'm going to be dropping a review for 9 Years of Shadows. That's going to be dropping hopefully later today. We've also got another review that's going to be out in the next day or so.
Yes.
For Grand Emprise 2, Portals Apart. That's going to be dropping as well too.
And I, of course, did finally drop my Death Stranding 2 review because I forgot to mention that I have finished that game. And
package has been delivered.
I was genuinely blown away. There's a couple of issues with the game, but genuinely, and I say it in my review, and I think Jeff, from what he's played, would agree. This game is an improvement in every single way over the first game.
Oh, absolutely, hands down. Like, just having the ability to having your vehicle so early on makes it so much better. And just there's a lot of little things that like the game does not tell you. Like
absolutely.
That I added into your review there was like, if you have a dead body that's going to cause a void out, you can put it in the coffin and then it'll dispose of it in the
because I didn't even realize that. That's why I didn't have it in the review, because I didn't know that was a thing.
They found it by accident. And like, if you play Dollman's favorite song, he does this big fucking dance number.
Oh really? Okay.
Oh my god, have you not seen it?
No.
Holy load up the game right now, find out Dahlman's favorite song, and watch.
Okay, I will do.
It is a fucking K-pop number. Like, it is.
Oh wow.
It is the most boy band bullshit ever. Like, yeah.
That is funny. That's funny. I like that they have things like that though. That's really cool. I mean, I am, and I mention it in my review, but I am actually still playing Death Stranding because one of the strongest things about these Death Stranding games, and even stronger in Death Stranding 2 than it was in the first one, is like when I load up and see that I have 20,000 likes because people have been using my roads or they've been using my zip
I've
lines.
been building roads, motherfucker. Holy shit.
Like all of that stuff is really cool, and it makes it feel almost like a community game, even though I'm playing by myself. And I think that people didn't really get that with the first game. They didn't really, unless you stuck with it and kind of carried on playing it after launch for a considerable time and things like that. I think people didn't really understand that there's actually a massive community of people that help each other in these games, you know, and like whenever I get to a settlement, for example, I'll build a generator outside, right? So people can charge their vehicles. And there's just simple things you can do. And it's like, I know that I need this here. So if I need this here, you probably do as well. Do you know what I mean?
No, it's been fantastic. And like, it is very, very good. I think Norman Reedus is much better this time around than he was in the previous one. I'm still not a huge fan of Norman Reedus. I do like Lea Seydoux' character in Fragile. Rady is fucking awesome.
Yeah. But and I say it in the review, the entire cast does a brilliant job.
Yeah, even like George Miller's character, who's voiced by someone else.
Yes.
There's just some really, really fantastic moments in that game that do really well. I will say the stuff that to me is throwaway is anything that happens in Nirvana. I just was not engaged in those moments. They felt like things that were just added in to kind of shake up stuff other than being.
I can definitely understand that perspective. I was quite positive on those just because they do shake up the gameplay and they give you some different things that happen there, like there, without too many spoilers, there's one section in Nirvana that is you're underwater and you can actually jump really high, and that plays into how you play that section of combat, so it's really interesting. but yeah, I just and then from a writing point of view, I genuinely think this is Kojima's best writing in a really long time. I think it's a very well written game. Um, and I think it's helped tremendously by the strength of the performances behind it as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, credit to the team. I'm glad that, you know, I say it in the review again, but I was a believer that Death Stranding didn't need a sequel, and I was wrong. I was definitely wrong, because this game is the game that brings Death Stranding into the mainstream. Like, when there's a Death Stranding 3, I would be shocked if it wasn't massively successful.
Yeah.
Because there are people that have played and enjoyed Death Stranding 2 who didn't even like Death Stranding 1. So
Yeah.
that tells you how much of an improvement it is
That's really cool.
over that first game. So yeah, that's all I'd say is you can read my full review on Analog Stick Gaming, and we'll be getting it up on Open Critic at some point. I've tried to do that, but it's wouldn't let me add the game
10 minutes after we record.
Nice. And yeah, so there's that. That's what I've done recently. We've had quite a lot of news on the website as well. I don't know if we've had any news go up on the site today. But
yeah, I'll be posting a bunch of stuff because it was my inbox was on fire yesterday. So
nice. I did see yesterday one that stuck out to me, and I think you might enjoy as well, Jeff, is Saber Interactive have announced a new management sim style game along the lines of Roadcraft, which is called Docked, and you're basically running a shipyard kind of after a hurricane. Looks quite interesting. So going to keep an eye on that one. We do have later in the month, we'll have a preview of a game coming up. We got reached out, somebody reached out to us about previewing an upcoming game.
Yeah.
So we'll be doing that. Other than that, things to look out for, as Jeff said, we've got a couple of reviews coming in the next few days. Jeff is working on 10 million reviews apparently, and
yeah, 4 that I'm looking at right now.
And I will also be working on some more reviews. I do have one review that's quite pressing that's coming up over on the Outer Haven, but after that I'll be looking to review Madden 26, and I'll also be finally going back and reviewing the Division 2's latest DLC, which is Battle for Brooklyn, because I still haven't been able to go and play that yet, because, life has been a bit crazy, things have been a bit crazy, and but I'm looking forward to playing that. I have a new PC, so there won't be any streams immediately, but I am still getting things set up because I do want to get back to streaming on the channel as well. And yeah, we're heading towards the interesting time of year, Jeff, where things get really busy and we have to start thinking about our game of the years and all that kind of thing. So it's going to be an interesting second half of the year here. But thank you for joining in to this episode of the Gaming Mix podcast. Please remember to like, subscribe, share with your friends and family if you enjoyed it. If you have any comments below, if you've been playing Battlefield 6 or one of these other games that we've spoken about today, let us know what you think, and we'd love to engage with you, because whenever we get comments, we're going to reply. Jeff had some comments on one of his reviews the other day that we won't talk about, and we replied to those as well. So
it's like, stop calling it massive, blah blah blah. I'm like, I didn't. The PR company did. I say it in my review twice.
So what I would say is, although there's only two of us here on most occasions, anytime that you interact with us, we will interact with you. So if you like us and you'd like to hear more of our opinions and weirdness and see more of Jeff's cat and dog, like I said, please like, subscribe, share with all your friends. Follow us on Blue Sky, which will be linked below, because that's all we use anymore, because that other place is awful.
I use
And
Threads a
we
lot,
will...
but I mostly just poke the bear. That's pretty much what I do on Threads.
That's fair. That's fair. But yeah, for now, we will see you next time when I should have something very interesting to speak about. So let's
And
look
make sure you
forward
guys
to that,
go
shall
on
we?
every WWE social media platform and YouTube, video, whatever like that. Comment, we want Cross on every fucking thing. Go buy Life is Fighting. That's his new book. I believe that's the title of it. I'm picking it up today. Support that guy. And also...
And remember, if you need NordVPN, you can use our affiliate link below.
Do it, I
Thank
dare
you
you.
very much.
Dare you.
And we will see you next time. Goodbye.